Welcome to the NBA Prospect Show, powered by EV Analytics. I'm Don Meller. He's Adam Scherher, coming off a 2-0 day. Chet Holmgren goes under on his rebounds. Russell Westbrook plus money goes over on his rebounds. I was watching that Thunder Nuggets game, loving the Jalen Williams, the center from Arkansas, when he was in the game. I was like, love these minutes for him, for Chet Holmgren. And then there was one offensive rebound. Russell Westbrook, I think the Nuggets had 5 offensive rebounds in a row. And Russell Westbrook came flying in and grabbed an offensive rebound. I was like, let's go. There's the fourth one. So that was pretty epic. I think Nikola Jokic, I think he hates Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams, he only plays 10, 15 minutes. So he just bodies him up. He's like, I have 6 fouls. It doesn't really matter if I foul out. Let's see how much contact I can get away with. Were you able to catch that Nuggets Thunder game yesterday?
No, I didn't see any of it. I did see that Westbrook had 3 rebounds at the half. And so I thought we had that one easy, and then he finished with 4. So glad he was able to get that 4th. But the fouls on Jalen Williams too. That was something when I was making DFS lineups yesterday that I kind of looked at and noticed, playing 10 minutes and picking up 5 fouls every game.
Yeah, I feel like the way Jalen Williams is built too. He's kind of almost built for Nikola Jokic, because his frame. He just stands there and Jokic can't move him. I think it's almost awkward for Jokic, because that's not really how his career goes. I mean, he still dropped 40 and whatever. He has his classic Jokic stat line, but he looked incredibly frustrated. One question for you, because when I was watching that game, I was fourth quarter, to me, it looked like it was so intense. I'm like, I feel like the Nuggets and the Thunder both had this mentality of if we win this game, there's a chance we're probably the favorites to win the NBA Finals, or there's a really good. This is basically not for the NBA Finals, but you can start to sense it, right? Celtics down 3-1. Jason Tatum's out with torn Achilles. Cavaliers eliminated. And if you're the Nuggets, you take out the Thunder, or you're the Thunder, you take out Jokic. When I was watching that, I was like, if the Nuggets win this, is there who would be your pick to win? It's a bunch of teams you didn't really even expect. Say the Thunder get eliminated, who are you even taking to win? Is there one team that would stand out, or it's all just a big mix to you?
It's all a big mix, but I think probably Minnesota, just because they have Anthony Edwards, they have quality wing defenders. Gobert obviously is good defensively at what he does. He can be a liability in the playoffs, obviously. But I think it would be Minnesota, or really whoever wins that series. If Golden State comes back to win, you kind of assume that by the end of the series, that means Steph is back, and then you're getting a healthy, good Golden State team. But assuming Minnesota is going to finish that one off, I think Minnesota would be my answer, just because I don't think it's the Pacers, and the Knicks have to fall off at some point. The Celtics are the most fraudulent good team ever, so I'm not giving the Knicks too much credit for that one.
It does feel like if you win the West, you're in the driver's seat to win the NBA Finals at this point, with Pacers taking on. I guess we can't say the Knicks yet, but they're down 3-1. No Jason Tatum. Talking about the Timberwolves and Warriors, we have 2 bets for this game, so let's get going right into the picks here. The first one, we're going to FanDuel, and we're going Jaden McDaniels over 1.5 assists plus 152. Adam, you want to break this one down?
Yeah, this is one of those where I don't think there's a ton to say. You're talking about Jaden McDaniels' assists, but the price looks good here. It makes it look like a profitable bet. He's averaging 1 assist per game so far in this series. He's averaging 1.8 potential assists per game. So, you actually need that second potential assist, but he does convert at a very high rate, since, you're talking about somebody that isn't getting a lot of assist opportunities. You're just kind of need him to drop it off under the basket a couple of times, or, happen to hit a shooter on to finish off a hockey assist or something, I guess. So it's obviously not something even worth sweating from a watching the game standpoint. You're probably not even going to see him if, you turn the game on for 20 minutes, you're probably not even going to see him get a potential assist. But the plus 152 here just looks like a good price. Probably should be a little bit lower, given that he is going to play a lot of minutes. He's averaging 38 minutes per game in the series. He's somebody that clearly you expect to be on the floor a lot for defensive reasons. You just need to, kind of run good on the assist conversions.
I feel like anytime it's an over 1.5 assists, there's not much to say about this guy, right, from the offensive basketball. He's a 1.5 for a reason, but like you said, his role is so important to the Timberwolves. His defense, the minutes are there. The one thing I think that stands out to me with this, considering the spot, is I know they're a 10 or 11.5 point favorite here, the Wolves, and you maybe are concerned about low potential minutes coming down if it was a regular season game. Yeah. I don't think that's valid tonight, because it's not only one, you're trying to close out the Warriors and move to the next round, and then you'll have a healthy gap in the schedule between this round and the next. It's also that you're staring down Stephen Curry could be back for game 6. So with what you've seen in these NBA playoffs, teams blowing 20-point leads, even if you're the Timberwolves and you're up by 25 in the fourth quarter, are you really pulling like Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle? Probably not, right? Like you absolutely, if you're the Timberwolves, want to win this game tonight because you do not want to all of a sudden it's a 3-2 and then Stephen Curry comes back. Like that is like horrifying from like a coaching standpoint. So I feel like the blow potential almost like isn't even really valid. I mean, it may be like 40, 50 points, but like if you're talking 20, I feel like Jaden McDaniels is still playing the minutes you kind of expect him to play. So if he's on the floor, it's kind of one of those, hopefully gets 2 assists. I mean, you're on the floor.
I mean, they're going to obviously be slower to pull the plug if they're up by a ton, just because you can't risk the team coming back. You know, what was it, Houston in round 1 that tried that against Golden State, pulled all their starters with like 8 minutes to go, and then they were all back in with like 4 minutes to go because they were blowing it. But then also too, like, you know, we've talked about this on shows before, but you know, a 10 or 11 point spread, if the game is just an 11-point game, then nobody's getting pulled until the final minute anyway. And when you're talking about a playoff series where you do have a quality opponent in Golden State, albeit without Steph, you know, even if you have a 10, 11 point spread, it is a lot more likely that that's just a game that lives in like the 8 to 15 point range, as opposed to when it's the regular season and you're, you know, a 12, 13 point favorite against like the Wizards. There's a very good chance that that just turns into a 35-point game and, you know, it's non-competitive. So even on the bigger spreads in the postseason, you are likely to have the score stay within the range where you are still playing your real players.
Yeah, Kelsey saying we're in all the Golden State Stars are too. That was the Steve Kerr where they, I think it was game 5, they punted, they almost got caught on that one. We have a second bet here for Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves, and we're going Jimmy Butler under 26.5 points. It's minus 115 at DraftKings. If you see a better price, drop it in the chat there. So that's Jimmy Butler under 26.5 points, minus 115 at DraftKings. Adam, you want to break this one down?
Yeah, I mean, this one, it's always nice when you see, you kind of have an idea of how something is going to play out. And then through the first 3 games, it's coming to fruition. We took a Jimmy Butler under as soon as the first game after Steph got hurt, because you see the line increase, and obviously the line should increase when Jimmy Butler is the clear number 1 in this offense now without Steph. But this is a Minnesota team that has quality wing defenders, and it's a Golden State team that doesn't have a lot to take the heat off of Jimmy Butler. Like, sure, they have Buddy Hield as a shooter. You know, Pajemski can do some stuff, but this is not a team that has like a real legitimate 2 or 3 scorer to take defensive pressure off of Butler. Butler's not a good 3-point shooter. So, you know, you kind of lose some of the volatility there. It's somebody that, you know, as obviously he's good. He's capable of going out there and scoring a bunch of points. He had, I think, 33 points in one of the games without Steph, but through 3 games without him, he's averaging 21.5 points. You know, he is the type of player that I think a defense can make things very, very difficult on when they don't have to really worry too much about taking anyone else out of the offense. When you have McDaniels, when you have Edwards, when you have Gobert at the rim, you know, talking about somebody like Butler that is going to be looking to score in the mid-range and at the rim. Like, I think it's a Minnesota team that can continue to make life difficult for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, our one of our analysts here is the Timberwolves season ticket holder, Doug Farmer. He's been beating this drum the whole series, saying that Jimmy Butler won't have big games in Minnesota, and this one is in Minnesota tonight. I think when you, like we were talking about the matchups there, one, I think the size of Jaden McDaniels obviously really bothers him. Jaden McDaniels has like a huge wingspan. And it's like, even if you beat him, like how many times does Jimmy Butler run into Rudy Gobert around the rim? And it's just like, he just kicks out. Even sometimes the announcers, like he's even maybe more open than like he thinks he is. Like, and the announcer's like, oh, I'm surprised. There's been multiple times like, I'm surprised he didn't shoot that. Like the commentary on the announcer saying that, like, he seems really bothered by all the, like the length and the size of the Timberwolves. It's not a great matchup for him. It's one of those matchups where like, he really needed Stephen Curry to help him out on the perimeter and stuff. And like Timberwolves have such a solid defense. So we're going Jimmy Butler under 26.5 points, minus 115. No bets for Knicks Celtics. Was there like any projections that like kind of popped out, but I'm going to stay away from that one, or anything stood out in that game?
No, McDaniels and Butler were the ones at the top of the board. Obviously for the Celtics, you can get some spots where like potentially, you know, you find value because lines just don't adjust correctly, but there obviously is a lot of guesswork going into Boston at this point as well. But no, it was really just this game sitting at the top of most of the bets right now.
Yeah. When I looked at Knicks Celtics too, I was like, I feel like if you want to do something fun for Knicks Celtics, I was like, Peyton Pritchard SGPs of like all alternate overs, because he always seems to be that guy who he gets more minutes and he's like kind of selfish. And I was like, I don't know if I put him anything as a straight bet on him, because I do feel like they'll probably go more Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, the double bigs with Tatum's minutes than Pritchard. But I don't know. That was just something I was like, yeah, maybe if it's fun or whatever, you could do that. So that was kind of my thought on that game. I'll have more on that game and before you bet in a little bit. The two bets for here, Jay McDaniels over 1.5 assists plus 152. Jimmy Butler under 26.5 points minus 115. This concludes the NBA Prop Pick Show powered by EV Analytics. We will be back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, for some Nuggets Thunder Game 6. Nikola Jokic facing elimination. Good luck with your bets. See you tomorrow. Del, play the song.